What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for December 12th, 2024. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Thursday edition of the podcast. We got a big show today, so let's get into it. Let's start with some housekeeping. Be sure to follow me on social media today, Jimbo_Mont at Twitter and TikTok. On Instagram at Philly Jimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mont. Continue to spread the word. We are winding down our gift and food drive. Still some donations coming in, so keep it up. I appreciate it. If you want to donate, the link to the GoFundMe is in the description. If you are going to donate directly to the Maddie Ann Dixon Community Cupboard, just be sure to let them know you're part of our gift and food drive. And if you want to send stuff to me, I'm going to go next week. You can do it through Amazon. Hit me up offline, whatever you got to do. And if you are participating in the reverse advent calendar, the item of the day today is shampoo. So any kind of shampoo that will help our friends and neighbors out. But thank you. We're crushing it. I cannot wait to go next week, have them roll the card up on the scale and just see how many pounds of donations we made. It's such an awesome feeling. So thank you. Still not too late to donate. Be sure to reach out if you have any questions. 25 Days of Kindness doesn't necessarily impact me today because I was driving before there was too much traffic and I work from home. But maybe I'll do something when I take the kids to basketball later. But if you're driving, let somebody merge in front of you. I always say it's supposed to be like a zipper anyway. So let somebody cut right in front of you. Let somebody go first at a stop sign. Just one of those little things that can help make someone's day. So that is today's 25 Days of Kindness act of the day. All right, let's get into this show. And we'll start with a recap of yesterday's question of the day. I asked you, could the Sixers actually get up to the 6th seed or higher? 55% of you said no. And to be honest, that's encouraging because I feel that's closer than what I expected it to be. Again, I know I'm likely falling into the old traps and the old habits, falling for the old song and dance. But they look good. Joe apparently looked good in practice again, getting healthier. Looks like he's in line to play tomorrow night. And I don't know, the way the schedule's shaping up, it might be time to maybe make a run. I'm seeing like everybody's the mood and the mindset, everything is changing. Could be Lucy with the football, but I don't know. I'm kind of liking it, and I really do. I don't know what's going to happen moving forward, but it's almost like them not advancing in the NBA Cup is beneficial because they get more time to practice, more time to rest up, and I don't know. I mean, truthfully, are you going to hang a banner for winning the in-season tournament? Probably not. So, I mean, I'll take it. It is what it is, and we'll go from there. Big day for the arena. Yesterday, apparently, was supposed to be City Council's vote. They postponed that until 8:30 this morning. Maybe even when you're listening to this, the vote has already happened. But the city is pushing for more of the community involved. I forget what they called it. Whatever the money the Sixers are going to give for the community development. They want $100 million now, or asking for $100 million, which is double the amount. And I don't know. I mean, I think big picture, that's not that big of a deal. I think that's an important part of this piece. I don't even know where to go for this. And I wish there was a place to see truly the impact and the study and everything, because I hear so many people talking, well, it's going to impact this. They didn't think about this with SEPTA. And what about getting people in it? And I honestly, I don't know. I know it's a hot mess leaving Eagles games on SEPTA, but it is what it is. I mean, that's 70,000 people. You have to figure maybe half of them are trying to get on the subway, and they only let 1,500 people down at a time. I don't know what it looks like on the L, but I mean, it is something to consider. But at the same time, going to a sporting event, you have to figure in that you're going to be in some kind of traffic. I mean, I've been to DC. There's traffic getting into whatever it's called now. It used to be FedEx Field. I've been to numerous games, basketball when I was at Temple. You get stuck in traffic. It's just the nature of the beast. So people are going to have to be patient. I mean, I do know for people that drive, maybe South Philly is more convenient, but it's a pain in the ass getting out of there. So we'll see what happens. But I wish there was like a neutral, non-biased place to see all this. So we'll see what happens today at 8:30 a.m. I've been on record at saying I am a fan of this. I think a lot of times in Philly, between the government and the citizens, sometimes and I still say we because I lived there for so long, tend to get in our own way and make things way more difficult and are very opposed to change and push back because things are, that's not the way we do things. But sometimes you got to evolve. We talk about that on Tuesdays a lot. Evolve and get better. So we'll see what happens. I'll update you tomorrow on that. Big game for the Flyers tonight down at the Wells Fargo Center. They take on the Red Wings. Coming into last night's game, they were in the lead for the wild card. And I don't know what happened. Depends on what happened with the Rangers. Let me look it up real quick. Rangers hockey. All right, so they're a point back, I believe, or 2 points back of the Rangers now. But they're right there fighting for that wild card spot. Matvei Michkov, 27 points in 27 games. Michkov Mania is running wild. So looking forward to that game tonight. Be sure to check out Philly Goat for your holiday shopping needs. It's too late to get things guaranteed by Christmas. But if you celebrate a little bit after the holidays, still not too late to get some shopping done. Go check it out. See what they got. Start gearing up for the Birds playoffs, the Sixers run that they're about to go on, the Flyers run. They got you covered. So go to phillygoat.com. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. Then check out my boys at the Clash and Conferences podcast. New NFC East episode on today. So be sure to check that out wherever you get your podcast as well as on YouTube. All right, so going into the NFC East, and I think we got to talk about the big story. And Jalen and AJ both spoke yesterday. And, I mean, Sirianni spoke too. And Sirianni said the situation is good. He addressed it with the team, both of the guys. He's 100% confident it's good. Move on. So AJ, I guess, after practice was interviewed. And he was like, yeah, look, me and Jalen are good. And then asked about BG. He's like, I love BG, but it was just BG being BG. He said it was a big misconception. People took his quotes about the passing game needing to improve out of context. And he said, listen, what am I going to say? I mean, we're going to improve the running game. We have the MVP. We're dominant when it comes to run. There's some things we can clean up. And he was like, that's not just on Jalen. I wasn't directing it toward Jalen. We can run better routes. He was like, the offensive line can do better protection. The offensive play calling could be better. So he said, and I don't think what he said was malicious or intended for Jalen necessarily. I mean, he was frustrated. We were all frustrated. That was a win, but it felt like a loss. And I think when you have these high expectations, Super Bowl or bust, you play like crap, you're going to feel like crap. I mean, it's just what it is. So it looked like from AJ's perspective, he's fine. It's not about his catches or things like that. He's like, he just wants to win. He was like, look, if I got to be the guy that drives the catalyst and be the quote unquote bad guy, then that's who I'll be. But he just wants to win. He's trying to get things fixed now before it is too late. So kudos to AJ for stepping up that way. And then Jalen spoke. And Jalen pretty much said a lot of the same things. He said, we're good. And I will say, this was the most I think I've ever gotten out of a Jalen Hurts press conference, and it was refreshing to see. I feel like he was honest. When he was asked about what he can do, he was like, there are moments that I can get the ball out quicker. And that's what we've been saying. Like, sometimes He doesn't get the ball out as quick, and whether or not that's to avoid turnovers or whatever it is, he addressed it, he owned it, and he was like, "That's something I can work on. I'm going to improve that, this, that, and the other." But I thought this was great. He said, "To me, it's all about the team. I don't care what it looks like. It's kind of my game. I think it's something people just have to accept. It's going to look how Jalen Hurts wants it to look." Now, I'm paraphrasing bits and pieces of the longer quote. And just know that he's going to win. And I've talked about this before. And last week we had the question of the day was talking about the flashy numbers. But Jalen, I mean, say what you want. Look at what he did in college. Look at what he's done in the pros so far. He's missing a championship. That's what he wants to win. But the dude goes out there and does what it takes to win games. If that means running for 75 yards, throwing for 100, and scoring 2 touchdowns, if it means throwing for 250 and 3 touchdowns, he's doing what it takes to win. And he's absolutely right. Doesn't matter how his game looks, as long as the team keeps winning. And I think we're seeing what other quarterbacks maybe in the NFL are doing and feel you need to be on par with that. But at the end of the day, since he's been the starting quarterback, they've been pretty successful. So I don't necessarily disagree with him there as long as they keep winning. It doesn't matter about the numbers. But I did appreciate the fact that he said that he will own that, and it's something that he does need to work on. And at least he knows it. Whether or not he's going to work on it or not, I don't know. I mean, we heard for years Andy Reid saying, "I got to put the players in a better position," and then never put the players in a better position. So he knows he needs to get rid of the ball faster at times. He said he's going to work on it. Whether he does or not, I don't know. But I think hopefully at this point we can put this all to bed and focus on the Steelers. I believe him. I believe AJ and Jordan Mailata spoke, kind of said the same thing. I think we all have PTSD, and probably rightfully so from what happened last year. But I think with what they said, let's bury it, move on, and start looking forward to the Steelers, who something's got to give here, because the Steelers have not won in Philly since 1965, but the Eagles have never beaten Russell Wilson as a starting quarterback. So something's got to give. But that does lead into today's question of the day. Is Sunday a must-win for the Eagles? Now, big picture, grand scheme, probably not, because it's an AFC team. I think you are still competing with the Lions, who have a tough game against the Bills this week. But big picture, is it a must-win game? From a standing standpoint, no. But from everything that's gone on this week, is this week a must-win game? Let me know your thoughts. 267-495-8531. That'll get you into the voice and text line. I mean, big picture, standings-wise, probably not. However, I think for the morale of the city, for the morale of this team, and really, if you want to get that number 1 seed, have the bye and have the playoffs come through Philly, it's a must-win game. It certainly is a winnable game. It's going to be a tough game. But let me know your thoughts. Hit me up on the Back to the Future voice and text line and let me know what you're thinking. All right. There were some other stories surrounding the Eagles yesterday. Jeffrey Lurie was approved to sell 8% of the Eagles. He still will have complete control over the team. Reportedly worth $8 billion. So 8% of the team is worth $8 billion. That's absolute insanity. I think, unless I read the quote wrong, it could have been the team is worth $8 billion. And so, but either way, 8% of $8 billion, still a pretty good chunk of change. Nothing to sneeze at there. But that led to a lot of speculation. Then there's rumors that have been swirling around that they're looking to possibly build a new stadium with a retractable roof. Now, that's going to help attract Final Fours. It's going to help attract the Super Bowl, possibly even. All of the things that go with having a stadium with all those bells and whistles. So we'll see what happens. I like the idea when it comes to Super Bowls and helping economically the city. I don't want to see that roof closed for Eagles regular season games, though. There's something about sitting in the weather, the elements, all of that stuff that I think it's kind of the charm of playing football in the Northeast in the wintertime. So hopefully that does not mean the roof is closed when it's cold or when it's snowing or when it's raining. But that's just me. But, I mean, that's not something that's going to happen anytime soon. The lease on Lincoln Financial Field, I think, still has 8 years maybe or something like that. Yeah, because this is our 24th year, so this is the 22nd year in the link. So there's still like 8 years left on the lease. So if you want to let me know your thoughts on that as well, I'm not opposed to a retractable roof. I just don't want to see it during the regular season or the playoffs. Super Bowl, sure. Do what you want to do. Final Four, all of that. Don't give that to me for a regular season game. But let me know your thoughts on that as well as, is this a must-win game for the Eagles? All right, today we're going to go back to 2010. And on this day in 2010, the Eagles went down to Dallas, having won 4 of their last 5 coming off of their bye week, and they were in a battle with the Giants for the lead in the NFC East. The Eagles go down to Dallas and beat a banged-up Cowboys team 30-27 in what was really an old-school NFC East Eagles-Cowboys battle. A 91-yard pass from Michael Vick to Desean Jackson early in the fourth quarter gave the Eagles the lead for good. Desean on the day had 4 catches, 210 yards, and a touchdown. Just torched the Dallas secondary. LaShawn McCoy had 16 carries for 149 yards. Todd Herremans even got in on the act, catching a touchdown pass from Michael Vick. Now, that 2010 team was an interesting one for the Eagles. It was the first year post Donovan, post Brian Westbrook, but lots of things happened. Kevin Cobb was supposed to be the starter that year, got a concussion early in the season, handed the ball over to Michael Vick, who essentially never gave him the ball back because Michael Vick played so well. Some highlights from the 2010 season was that awesome comeback against the Giants that really put the Eagles into the driver's seat in the NFC East when Desean Jackson returned the punt as time expired. Also had the game that got snowed out for like 3 inches of snow that was ended up played on a Tuesday night, the infamous Joe Webb game. Only time I've been down to a game on Tuesday night football, and Joe Webb of the Vikings beat the Eagles that day. The team did set a team record for points and yards that season. It was a fun season, not knowing where we were going to go post Donovan. Come out, win the division before losing to the Packers in the playoffs. But on this day, it was the Eagles taking control of the NFC East, putting them in the lead by a half game when they beat the Cowboys 30-27. Desean Jackson with a 91-yard touchdown catch en route to 210 yards. Shady McCoy running wild, and Todd Herremans even catching a touchdown pass as well. All right, finally today, our forgotten teams in Philly sports history, the Dolly Vardens. And I've talked about this a couple years ago, but they were the first all-black female baseball club. So they're first all-black and all-women female baseball club. They started playing in the 1860s through the early 1900s. They would just have scrimmages against each other. Sometimes they would play other teams, but based on the climate of the political climate and social climate of the day, they would play like in fields that were cut out in the woods and things like that. Most of their games were played in the backwoods in Chester. One of these games, though, the scrimmages against each other, was covered by the Philadelphia Times, and this happened in 1883. And then when they covered the game, it made national news. It became a national story, and it's good that we see this. And oftentimes the Dolly Vardens are not giving the publicity or the credit they deserve for the civil rights movement, but they certainly helped lay some of the groundwork for what we know as the civil rights movement that happened 80, 90, 100 years after the Dolly Vardens, setting some of those cornerstones for what everyone would be fighting for. They were called the Dolly Vardens because that was the style of dress they wore. And like if you picture the fancy dress from the 1860s, 70s, and 80s, that's kind of what they wore. And that's what they played in. So imagine playing baseball in a big poofy dress and doing it in the black backwoods. But these are the kinds of stories that I like to kind of give you on here. I don't talk about this a lot, but one of my favorite things is, obviously I like giving my commentary, but I like giving the stories about some of the things that just maybe we forgot or didn't know. That's why I'm talking about these forgotten teams. But the Dolly Vardens, who played in Chester, they were the first all-black and all-female baseball team in the area. First all-female baseball team, period. First all-black female team, and became a national story when the Philadelphia Times covered one of their games. And like I said, they often get like a footnote in the civil rights movement, the history of the civil rights movement, but they certainly were pioneers and laid the groundwork for a lot of the future of the civil rights movement. So shout out to the Dolly Vardens, today's forgotten Philadelphia sports team. On this day in 2010, Eagles beat the Cowboys 30-27. Desean Jackson over 200 yards receiving. LaShawn McCoy 149 yards. Todd Herremans even getting in on the act as the Eagles look to win the division that year in 2010. The first year, I guess, AD after Donovan. We'll have more on the Eagles. Hopefully now tomorrow we can start looking ahead to the Steelers game. I started to do that a little bit today, but one of those streaks, Steelers since 65 or Russell Wilson, has to give. Hopefully we get some good news depending on which side you're on for the Sixers arena. I think there's really no way it's not going to go up. We'll also update you on the Flyers. Be sure to let me know your thoughts on whether this is a must-win game for the Eagles or not. I think it is in more ways than one. I don't think it's the end of the world if they do lose, but I just think that between the number one seed and vying for that and just the morale of what's happened this past week, I think you need to come out. And I would not be the least bit surprised if the star of the game is not AJ Brown, not Jalen Hurts, not Saquon Barkley. I'm calling it. First play, deep. Devontae Smith has himself a game this week, but I'll have more on that Sunday with the three keys. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for December 12th, 2024. My name is Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Thursday, and until next time, I'll see you when I see you.